Hey guys, it's Misty, athlete mental health coach, author of the Athlete Mental Health Playbook, and I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years. So today I want to talk about this concept of failure, right? Which can feel really, really huge in our lives. And sometimes when I work with people, we find out that failure has actually become a part of their mindset habits that they've adopted, and therefore they're sort of living through this lens of being afraid to fail again, right? Or thinking that they are failures because they didn't get to where they wanted to go, or they made a mistake, or whatever it might be, right? And sort of either way you look at it is holding them back. So Zig Ziglar, if you've ever heard of his name before, if not, might want to check him out. He had a very famous quote that I love. And you'll probably hear people say it often, but if you haven't, I'm going to go ahead and share it with you right now about failure. And he says that failure is an event and it's not a person. So failure is an event, not a person. So let's dive into really quickly what that means, and then I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you are not your failures, okay? So failure is an event, meaning it's something that happened, it's impermanent, right? It's just something that was there. And failure is not a person. So let's think about that. So we can think of really simply, if we want, let's take ourselves out of it. Take yourself out of it. Think of somebody that you know who made a mistake. Maybe it was a big mistake, maybe not, either way. Just think of somebody who made a mistake. Could be recently, could just be one that sticks out in your mind. And then I want you to think of if you define them by that mistake. Probably not, right? Because we all have made mistakes, and we all deserve, whether they're big or small, mistakes happen. And so, or we fail, right? For one reason or another. Maybe you missed that game-winning shot and that cost your team your season, right? Or it cost you your place in the playoffs, whatever the repercussions might have been. Just again, thinking about that is, are you beating yourself up over that over and over and over again by living that and now feeling like I'm a failure because I didn't make XYZ happen, right? So let's walk through that right now. I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you are not a failure. The first thing is that this is not permanent. Okay, a failure, again, going back to the quote, is an event. It's something that happened. It didn't work out the way that you wanted it to do. You wanted it to work out, so we think of it as a failure. Outcome wasn't what you expected. Maybe it had big repercussions. Maybe it didn't. But either way, failure is not permanent. But you know what is permanent? You are, because I believe that we are all souls, and we are eternal souls at that. So if we're constantly going to live, if we're going to have you want to call it your soul, your collective unconscious, however you want to term that, your spirit, we continue to go on, which means that we evolve. A failure happened, something happened, it doesn't matter, because either way, you're going to continue to go on, right? You're a spiritual being. We're souls. You're going to continue to just progress and go through life because we're eternal. So you can't think of something that is happened, right, and apply it, and that's not permanent, and apply it to something that is permanent, meaning your existence as a soul and as a spirit, right? So that's one way to look at it. Another way to look about it is that failures lead to growth, right? The only way that we learn is through taking risks and making mistakes, right? And we make decisions all day long, don't we? And sometimes those decisions work out and sometimes they don't. But those decisions teach us how to move forward, don't they? They teach us what not to do the next time, or how to tweak what we do. I mean, you can look up quotes about that too. You've heard of Michael Jordan talking about, what is it, like 9,000 or 10,000 shots? I don't have the quote right in front of me of how he's missed in his life, right? He talks about, that's a really famous quote. You have people that talk about hundreds of thousands of ways that they've tried to do things, or maybe not hundreds of thousands, but hundreds or thousands, I should have said, of ways to try and do something. And then that didn't work out. But by the time they got to 101 or 1,001 or whatever that number might have been, they had all those failures behind them, but it took that one success to create this new invention or whatever it was to propel them forward. So start to think of it that way. The failures are propelling you forward because you're learning from them, right? You're figuring out what didn't work so that you can grow into what does work, all right? So remember, failure is an event, not a person. We have that failures are permanent, are not permanent, but you are eternal, right? So why are you gonna live your whole life around something that's, not permanent when you are eternal? Number two is, again, failures are going to lead you to growth because you're going to figure out what didn't work and you're going to move forward from there and figure out what does work. And the third thing that I want you to know why you are not your failures is because failures just mean that you tried. And we all make mistakes, don't we? Don't we all make mistakes? And every single decision that we make in our life, again, big or small, they're all leading us somewhere. And so sometimes you just have to take a risk. Sometimes you just have to make a choice in a moment. And sometimes it works out the way that we want it to work out, and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes we sit and contemplate things and we'll just beat ourselves up, overthinking and going in circles. But the fact of the matter is, at some point, you've got to move forward. And sometimes you make decisions to move forward, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. Or even sometimes maybe you sit on your decisions too long because you're afraid of making a mistake, and you miss an opportunity, right? You miss a window. And so you're never really going to find out if that chance would have worked out or not. So all I'm saying is all we can do is make the best decisions for our lives that we can in the moment with the information that we have available, using our instinct, using the best thing that we have. In games as athletes, I know you're there, you're trying to make the best play, the best move, and you really don't have time to think, right? You're relying on your instinct. You're relying on all the practice that you've done. You're relying on all your sports IQ, right? On all these things that you've learned about your position in your sport. And in those moments, sometimes you make a big play and sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. And that happens in your life too, where sometimes you make decisions and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But these so-called failures, remember, they're just events. And every single person, think of the person that you admire most, they have definitely failed over and over and over again, because that's just part of life. It's just part of being. It doesn't change who you are as a person, as long as you don't allow it to continue to hold you back, right? So the point here today is that failures are, again, things to look at as events, things that happened, but they are not who you are. The point is to stay in a growth mindset, which we talk a lot about here on these shows, but stay in a growth mindset so that you can move forward. Because if you keep staring down your past, you're going to end up depressed, right? You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to stay in a survival mode. You're going to get scared to make decisions, and you're not really going to live your life, and you're not going to do it where you feel free and you feel empowered. So sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? That happened. It sucked, but here's what I'm going to learn from it, and here's what I'm going to do moving forward. I'm not thinking about that anymore, right? I'm not going to spend my energy spinning my wheels thinking about something that didn't work when I could be applying it to doing what I know will work the next time, or preparing myself to do better the next time. And you know what, if that doesn't work out, okay, then I'll learn something from that and I'll move on to the next thing too, right? So life is a really long time. I know we really get stuck in the moment. We really think about things that happened in the past, and we let that really decide how we're going to move forward and live our life. And sometimes we stay stuck because we're afraid of making those failures again. We don't want to relive that. We don't want to feel that pain again. We don't want to have to go through this whole, okay, I'm surviving now that I make a mistake. We don't want to go through that. So we continue to just kind of stay where we are. So what I want you to do today is think about, if failures have been bothering you, put them in the past. They're an event. Write down, think about what you can move forward from that, and decide from today forward, they're going to be in the past, and I'm going to live my life moving forward into the future. So if this is something that you want to work for, coaching would be the perfect opportunity for you. We work in coaching on moving forward from what's in the present to into the future. We don't look at the past so much. We're focused on moving forward, right? And that's what we do in coaching. So you can work with me one-on-one. I have VIP one-on-one programs, or I also have a membership. It's purposesoulathletics.com/membership that you can try, and you'll get all kinds of stuff from me. I mean, like all kinds of stuff for, it's like $10 a month. But we can work together in that capacity as well if that's more your speed. So anyhow, I want to thank you guys for being here. We'll see you next week. As always, let me know your feedback and if there's anything that you want me to address in a future video. And just remember, you are not your failures. And I'm saying that from the bottom of my heart. You are not those mistakes that you have made. You are not the failures that have done. From this day forward, let's move forward. All right. And with that, I wish you a great one. We'll see you next time.